The year was 1968. The Civil Rights Movement was at its peak. While this movement was monumental for African Americans, it had a tremendous impact for women's rights as well. The point women were fighting for was for equality in the workplace.
Equal rights to set forth our own humanity, equal rights to get into graduate programs, to get into schools, to training programs. We're the bottom third of the employment in terms of pay. We represent nonetheless 34% of the workforce, yet we're the first to be laid off and the last to be hired. There aren't frivolous demands at all. We just want what men have had all these years.
I didn't get paid much when I worked for the license office, but it was not, I didn't go for the money then. I mean, like people have to do now, like women have to do now. When women have kids and don't have a husband, they need to make more money.
I started out my career in public accounting, and public accounting was a very diverse group of individuals, lots of men and women, and so really never felt that way. In fact, I actually had an internship with a public accounting firm in the junior year of college, so I definitely feel like there's always been fair opportunities in that.
An even bigger win wasn't until 1973, when the EEOC laws were signed by Lyndon B. Johnson and were put into act. EEOC law stated that there cannot be discrimination of any kind in the workplace in regards of race, religion, age, gender, or sex. With these laws into act, it was made illegal to unevenly pay men and women for equal work and hire men over women due to their sex. Because of this act, women were finally able to make progress in their careers and without any persecution.
Well, when I first went to work at Mendel Printing Company in St. Louis when we were first married, I met a lot of women that had just started their professional life, and they were slow learning and kind of pushed aside, but if you want to do it, you can do it. And so that's the women that have to get ahead anymore. You have to want to do what you want for yourself.
And as the years progressed, women were gaining respect in the workplace, and in turn, out of the workplace as well. In 1981, Sarah Derrick became the first woman on the Supreme Court, conquering the fact that the idea of a woman in power became to be acceptable in society.
I kind of work in a department, in the English department, that's dominated by females, and that's not just at this high school, that's across the board. There are more female teachers female English teachers than male English teachers. And so I do think that societal-wise, I think sometimes there is still that notion, my mother still has that notion sometimes, that guys are maybe not necessarily more intelligent, but they seem to know more things, and so she'll tend to believe guys more than females in some ways. But that's also because she was a product of the 40s, 50s.
So as far as being taken seriously, I've never put my gender as a result of any limitations that I've had, and I really feel like a lot of times if I were to make it more of an issue, it could be more of an issue. So instead I focus on not even making that a focal point. I'm definitely usually the only woman in the room. I'm definitely usually the only, and that's been the way throughout my career, both in terms of when I was in management and now at the executive level, but I don't make it a focus, and I really focus on the results and what I bring to the table, and as a result I really have never felt like that's been an issue for me.
But the issues of women equality doesn't stop there. The military has had a long history of setting apart women from men. Women were primarily only able to serve as nurses, and under a 1994 Department of Defense policy, women were officially banned from serving in direct combat units. While there was still a vast amount of women who were willing to serve as nurses, they still felt they were not given equal opportunities to fight and defend their country. However, in January of 2013, this ban was lifted, and women were finally able to lay down their lives for their country.
I think that women are capable of pretty much anything they want to do, and I don't necessarily see that as a negative, that if they tend to bring some level of empathy to their position. I realize that part of the military is to be able to go into combat like that and maybe not hesitate when you have to do something. I get that, but I don't necessarily think that that is a negative in all situations.
Today, women are fighting for one of the biggest problems facing society: sexual harassment. In the early 2000s, Tamara Burke started the Me Too movement, which has recently boomed with popularity of the serious message that women will no longer be victims of sexual misconduct anywhere, and that everybody has a voice to stand up.
The issues that they have in workplaces and restaurants and everywhere you go, and if it happens Monday, do something about it Monday evening, not Tuesday morning.
I think there's also a lot of fear and degradation that happens after someone is attacked like that. So it's not like everyone can immediately run to the police and say, this happened to me, because it's a very complex set of emotions. Maybe they finally get to a place 10 years later where they can talk about it.
And the last situation that needs to be addressed is what Americans need to do in order to keep up its gender equalization.
I think most young women know what they want, and if they seek that and do it well, I think they can do anything they want to do.
I think what I would say to young women today is, work hard and do your best. Focus on what you can contribute and what you can accomplish. And I'm a firm believer that your contributions and your accomplishments speak much larger and louder. Don't focus on your gender. If you make it an issue, other people will make it an issue. I've chosen never to focus on that, and I feel as though it served me well. And the other thing I would say is, faith has been a very big part of my life, and I can certainly see how faith has evolved and given me the ability and strength to overcome concerns that I might have being that only woman at the table. And, I've always taken the attitude, and I was, like I said, my parents raised me this way to believe I could do anything I wanted to do. I try to tell my children that. That's the advice I give. And, one of the things I always tell people is, why not you? And that's how I look at things. Why not me? And it served me well, and I try to share that with other people.
I would just say, be a good human first, and hold each other up, don't tear each other down, and that's advice I would give, whether you're male or female. Just be kind to each other, keep fighting the good fight, keep working towards your goals, and you'll be okay.
I just think it's happened for so many years that it's going to be hard to change, but I think it is changing, which is a very good thing.